everybody. Sorry, it's been a couple days since I've made any videos or updated, but it's been a little bit crazy around here, to be honest with you. It's like I've been struggling to get videos that I've already shot uploaded. Like literally it took me 3 days to upload one video. Granted, it was a long video. It was about 2 hours, 2 hours long. And I did 2 more videos after that. Then I'm in the process of uploading as we speak. But yeah, some of those videos is just the longer ones. I guess I'm gonna have to try to go, shorter, no longer than an hour maybe at a time, just so it's just easier on the upload speed. Because yeah, when you live out here in the country, out in the middle of nowhere, and you don't have a direct internet connection, you're working off of, Wi-Fi through the air. It's kind of like, sometimes the Wi-Fi signal is good, sometimes it's not so good. So, anyway, here we are. We're in the camper still. Of course, we're going to be in the camper for forevermore. As far as, I plan anyway, for right now. Unless something changes sometime in the future, I don't know. But right now, we're going to be in the camper. And I'm liking the camper. I feel really good in here. It's actually, even though it's a little bit small, but still, in it, I feel like I have, like, so much space. I haven't finished, painting or doing any of the builds or anything yet. Oh, come on now. My cat, y'all. Sorry about my cat. She jumped right up there. Cute cats, you know how they are. And then Monday I went to get the results of my psychological evaluation. And so I've been trying to process that a bit. Because, yes, so there's some things I didn't quite expect and some things I did expect. Sort of, I guess. I don't know. I mean, do you ever really know what to expect? I'm not sure. So, with this, of course, there's, a lot of processing time and issues and all that stuff about everything. And I guess I'll talk more about, I don't know, maybe I'll talk about it now. So anyway, my diagnoses, my mental health diagnoses that I have now, that hopefully when I talk to my therapist tomorrow, we can maybe start working out a better plan for my therapy. We'll see. But these are my diagnoses. I've got several, that I'm working through. Hence why I live alone and in my camper with my animals, so I can try to heal my, mental health issues. But I was diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, the inattentive presentation. So everything happens in my head. I'm not like hyper. I don't I'm not physically like, it's all in my brain, My brain never quits. Generalized anxiety disorder with panic attacks. I mean, I knew I had a lot of anxiety, but I really thought it was autistic anxiety. I was expecting, to come back with an autism diagnosis because of the amount of anxiety that I've had to live with my whole life. And, I was told, by, a few people that I had a lot of autistic symptoms. But the psychologist that did my testing, the testing center, did not agree with that. They do say I have ADHD, inattentive presentation, which, there's a lot of overlaps between that and autism, but no autism diagnosis. Generalized anxiety disorder with panic attacks, and the things that that they're calling my panic attacks, I was calling meltdowns, because that's what I felt like I was having, like a literal, like, meltdown, with my emotions, unable to control, what was going on. It was all, having all this frustration. I had a lot of crying and a lot of, unable to calm myself down, so to speak. But It said those were panic attacks. Who would have known? I had no idea I had panic attacks. I thought they were autism meltdowns. I'm no expert. What can I say? Major depressive disorder, recurrent, moderate. I mean, I never really considered myself depressed. I just considered myself extremely anxious. But there is the fact that, you know, I did start attempting suicide at 12. And, you know, I went through periods through my, you know, teenage years and my 20s and 30s where I was like having a lot of suicidal issues. And then now in my 50s, I've had a lot of issues of just wishing I just never existed in the first place. Well, it's not now that I'm actively like have suicidal thoughts where I want to harm myself or harm anybody else or anything like that. I just generally wish that I was never brought onto the planet in the first place because, you know, honestly, this life has sucked. I've not had any real nurturing. You know, any nurturing I've got has always come with an agenda of the person providing the nurturing, so I can't trust the nurturing because then they always usually want something from me that compromises my safety of self. It's like I have to do things that I don't want to do, that I don't feel safe doing in order to receive the nurturing, the attention, which is kind of sucks and it's kind of shitty. So hence why I'm single and will most likely stay single for the remainder of this lifetime because most people suck. PTSD, complex presentation, which makes sense, you know, considering, you know, all of my trauma-related issues that I've had like all of the PTSD diagnoses at one point or another. I've had the complex because of all the childhood abuse and everything, and the neglect. And then, you know, I was in a fire when I was in my early 20s where, you know, I was given zero chance of survival. 2 of my children died. Yeah, so there's that. Spent 8 days in IC in the hospital, in the burn unit, in the hospital for, yeah, kind of sucked. And the only child I had at the time that survived spent a lot of time in CHKD, Children's Hospital, in a burn unit in isolation because they just, you know, we were both really, really badly injured. So there's that, and then, you know, we've had, you know, car accidents and, you know, where I was, you know, my car was totaled and was thrown into a tree. You know, it was kind of like, you know, it kind of sucks to be hit, you know, somebody hit you at 70 miles an hour when you're at a complete stop. It's really quite jarring. I've had issues with, you know, police, you know, so there's that, and also other controlling financial and sexual abusive relationships. And also this is one that really surprised me, was traits. I have traits of avoidant personality and borderline personality disorders. I had never heard of avoidant personality disorder, but, you know, I did suspect I had, you know, and another one of the people that I work with also did suspect I had borderline personality disorder, but they're saying I only have traits. I don't have enough traits to have a full disorder diagnosis, but and so instead I have a combination of 2 different personality disorders instead of just one personality disorder. I don't have enough traits for one specific, but traits for 2 different ones, which, you know, kind of makes sense. You know, again, a lot of the issues that I've had that I thought were autism related, because there's a lot of crossover between these things. So yeah, so that's it. Traits of avoidant personality, borderline personality, and with the avoidant personality, because I didn't really understand that one. I had to like do some research and look it up. And basically, it comes down to the fact that I will avoid any social interaction if I feel like I am not going to be accepted or liked in a situation, or if I don't know that the people in question approve of me. You know, it's like if I don't feel like, if I feel like, you know, they're just tolerating me, then I tend to avoid those situations. So hence all of the isolation. I've isolated myself pretty much most of my life. And now after I start thinking about it, you know, it kind of makes sense because, you know, granted, you know, even though I worked in the medical field for 15 years in the operating room, but after, working in that field for several years, I started, well, a few years. As soon as the option became available, I started taking on jobs related to the field where I wasn't working at the same time everybody else was working. So to have dealings with less people, I would, you know, work the core where I pulled all the supplies, you know, instead of being in the operating room where I had to, you know, not just do my job, but I had to engage in social conversation, which most of the time I had nothing to contribute. So it just kind of feels really awkward to be put into a position where everybody in the room, you know, you know, you're a nurse, you have your anesthesiologist, your surgeon, your first assist, your surgical tech. I was the surgical tech. And you know, and generally while they're operating, you know, they, you know, not always, it really depends on, you know, what kind of a procedure it is. You know, if it's a very critical procedure, there's not a lot of conversation. But if it's just a routine type of procedure, there tends to be a lot of conversation during the procedure while the patient is asleep. And it's just usually people talking about, you know, current events, their children, you know, what plans they have up, where they went on vacation, where they're going to go on vacation, what TV shows they're watching, what's going on in the news, politics, their political affiliations. You know, these are the conversations that, you know, happen in the operating room while a patient is sleeping, and it's a routine procedure. And most often, I could never contribute to these conversations because I didn't give two shits about political affiliations. I don't go on vacation. I've never been on a vacation. I have no plans to go on any vacations, you know, because that's just, I don't know. It's just, it never occurred to me. I don't watch a lot of television. Hardly any at all, and definitely none of the stuff that everybody else watches because I'm very sensitive to violence. So, any TV shows and things that have, you know, a lot of violence in them, I can't watch that. I can't watch it. It's the same with the news. I can't watch it. I can't watch a lot of the political stuff. I mean, I have enough anxiety on my own that I don't need any extra. So I avoid situations where my anxiety may be increased. So I would start, so to avoid all of that kind of situations and, you know, going to, you know, parties and things, you know, because of course, you know, this is your work family, you know, and they like to do things together outside of work. I always avoided the things outside of work. It was just, I mean, occasionally I would go to a Christmas party, but not often. Like maybe 2 or 3 times in 15 years that I went to a Christmas party. You know, it's just kind of crazy, huh? So yeah, so then I went to, working in the Corps, where I got to work by myself, and I got to pull all the cases and pick all the supplies, and I started learning how to help the OR buyer. So I would, when she would go on her vacation, I could do her job. I could do all the ordering and do all the paperwork for, implants and all that, and work with the reps that brought in medical supplies for us, to working just on the weekends. So I went to work on just Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I did 12-hour shifts. And I was the only one there. I answered the phones. I'm the one that called everybody in, you know. This was on Saturday and Sunday. Fridays, of course, there's a full staff of people that I had to deal with. But that was only one day a week that I had to deal with a full staff of people. The rest of the time, I did not. I just, I did the cases on the weekend, so I would answer the phone, I would schedule the cases, I would pull the cases, I would call in the reps, I would call in the surgeons, I would call in the staff, if something needed to be done. But for the most part, I was by myself in the OR for the entire weekend. So again, avoiding all of the, conversation, the social stuff, I don't have to, like, it was always so freaking uncomfortable trying to, like, having to talk to people about life and everyday stuff, and everybody else just thinks it's all normal. Oh, what did you get for Christmas? Oh, what'd you get for your birthday? Oh, what, blah 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 blah. I hate talking about that crap, because I was a single parent. And during all that time, being a single parent, even though I was working all the time, um, I just didn't have, I didn't have a support system. There was nobody buying me gifts. So, having to go to work after a holiday where, a traditional holiday where everybody is talking about what they got for Christmas and what they gave for Christmas and all this other mess, I have to go in there and say, well, I didn't get anything. I hated being asked, what'd you get for Christmas? Oh, and I'm like, I didn't get anything. And the reason why I didn't get anything is because I don't have anybody to buy me anything. I buy my kids stuff and the stuff that they want, and the stuff that they need, but there's no extra money to give them to go shopping for me. And who's going to take them shopping for me? It just seems kind of odd for me to take them shopping for me, because then it's not really a surprise, because I'm there and I'm having to pay for my own gift. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So, we didn't do stuff like that. We just, I don't know. Yeah. So, and then I ended up transferring to another job, like a semi-beginner management position, where, again, I was in charge of ordering supplies and all that other stuff. And I was a manager, but I had 0 employees. I was my only employee, so I did all of the work. I did all of the ordering, I did all of the counting, I did all of the putting it away, all of the loading, all of the unloading, all of everything, and I hurt my back. And then, and I hated that job. Freaking hated it, because it was more physical than I expected it to be. And I'm a little person, I'm only 5 foot tall, almost 5'1", you know, having to push great big huge carts of supplies and doing all the unloading and all that other stuff that I didn't have to do before, and didn't realize that was going to be part of the job at this different facility, because I thought it was going to be just like what I was already doing, but it wasn't. It wasn't. And there was nobody to train me. I had to figure it all out on my own, and I was, I wasn't used to not getting good reviews for, my work ethic, and in that process, my reviews were just mediocre, and I'm just like, because I was struggling. I was really struggling with the job. I didn't know what I needed to do, and there was nobody to train me. There was nobody for me to go to questions with, because the person that I replaced left 2 weeks before I started the job. So there, it was, I didn't get to go over anything with that person. There was, nobody was willing to help, and then I hurt myself, and then it was just easier just to freaking quit. So I quit my job, emptied out my 401k, and moved to Colorado. Freaking moved to Colorado, lived off my 401k that I had, there for that period of time. And yeah, so I guess that avoidant personality makes sense. I think more as I get more into uncovering things that may become more of an actual disorder, possibly. I'm not sure. I mean, I have to look into it more. There's just not a lot of information on avoidant personality disorder. It's one of the least studied personality disorders because there's not a lot of I guess people, from what I understand, people with avoidant personality disorder do not often come for treatment on their own because they don't have a support system or anybody to help them get started in treatment. And and with all of that, they make recommendations on this psychological report after they did all my testing and everything. And one of the recommendations that they made is that I'm encouraged to identify someone who will partner with me to follow through on behavioral interventions. Like I'm supposed to have somebody to help motivate me to do the things that I'm supposed to do, to help me keep my appointments, to get me out exercising, to get me out of the house, to, make sure I take my meds, which, I keep quitting meds, honestly, because I don't like side effects. And if I'm going to have side effects from the meds that are worse than my symptoms, I will not take the meds. Plain and simple. My symptoms are worse. If the side effects are worse than the symptoms I receive without the meds, I will not take the meds. I'll just quit. And I won't even tell anybody. I'll just freaking quit. Just throw it in the trash. I'm like, I'm not taking this, Especially because, my med provider, I've had to have my med provider switched a few times because of my anxiety issues. Well, the first person, she left the practice, so there was that, and I liked her until the very last appointment where she, really kind of let me down and hurt my feelings, I was kind of shocked and surprised by her last appointment. And then I had a kind of a spiral thing after that. And that was all because I quit taking my meds because the side effects were so bad. Well, actually, I was reducing the meds. And then, I reduced the dosage on my own because I couldn't take the side effects. Because the appointments were so far in between each other, and then the appointments with your med provider are so short. It's like you don't have time to tell them what's going on, to tell them about your side effects, to tell them about the things that are going on, because they're just like, they want to set you a 15-minute appointment and get you in and get you out of there. Well, how are they going to know how to properly medicate you if the medication is working, if they don't even ask those questions? They don't ask you how you're doing with your meds. They don't ask you, have you had any upsets? Have you had any, things going on that have set you back? I mean, they don't ask any of those freaking questions. So how can they properly treat you if they don't ask you questions about how you're doing with your mental well-being, with, whatever's going on with you? And it's just like you're a number. You're in and you're out. And if I'm dealing with somebody where I feel like I'm being rushed through an appointment, like they're not really concerned, like they're just trying to get me out of the keck and move on, then I will refuse to see those people. because I'm not a freaking number. I'm a human being. I have feelings. I have emotions. And I need to have the people that are working with me, because they're being paid to do a freaking job, you know? They're being paid. So I feel like they should show a genuine concern. They're being paid to do this. You know, they're not like, you know, someone in my social circle that's, you know, like a friend or a relative or whatever, somebody that I would just go talk to about whatever's going on. You know, these are paid professionals. So if they're a paid professional, I expect them to act concerned, for freaking crying out loud. You know, you're a medical provider. You're supposed to be helping somebody with their mental health, not, you know, I don't know. But anyway, I kept feeling like I was being labeled difficult. Even though they weren't saying it, I was feeling it. It felt, because it was just so frustrating trying to explain to them what I was going through and what things were happening. And they just seemed totally clueless. Like, you know, like they're like, you know, and it's, you know, these are people that, you know, I'm supposed to trust, I'm supposed to rely on. And yet, when I talk about the things that, and when I'm being honest, they're either pushing me to go to a freaking psych hospital, you know, which, hell no, did that once. Never, ever, 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 ever freaking going into another psych hospital again. They can kiss my booty with that shit. Ain't happening. No. No, 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 no. You will put a freaking gun to my head. Well, even then, I'm going to fight you and hope you blow my brains out so I don't have to go to the fucking hospital. Excuse my French, but that's how bad it is. You know, I already have issues with being forced, feeling like I'm being forced to do things against my will. And you're definitely forced to do things against your will in the freaking psych hospital. The fact that you're being held there against your will and you can't freaking leave is bullshit, you know. And so you just have to play the freaking game to get the hell out of there. You just have to do, even though you're in your mind and you know that this is a freaking effed up situation, you have to do what they want you to do and pretend that you're okay just to get the heck out of there. It's that bad. You have to pretend you're okay, even though you're not, just so you can leave. Really kind of sucks. Really, really, really kind of sucks. It's not the way mental health should be. You should have some caring individuals in there, some people that, and there are some. I'm not saying that there aren't. There are some people in there that, you know, I genuinely appreciated their assistance. But there are definitely other people in there that don't have the empathy that you would think would be required, necessary for somebody working with people with mental health issues. But I guess there's all kinds of mental health issues. Some people are violent. I'm not violent, you know. I'm not an angry person. I get frustrated. I get irritable because I don't feel like I'm being understood. I have a hard time explaining myself. And it's not that I have a hard time explaining. I'm explaining myself. I have a lot to say, according to my therapist. I have a lot to say. You know, that's why she, you know, kept encouraging me to start a YouTube channel. You have a lot to say. And nobody wants to hear what I have to say. You know, except for maybe other people that are going through what I'm going through. And I don't have anybody in my life that, in person, that I can confide in that honestly. You know, so there's that. So yeah, mental health issues kind of suck. But what do? You know, you grow up, you have no sense of self, or you're given, I don't know. Girls in my family weren't treated very well. Well, I was the only girl, so I wasn't treated very well. You know, the only person that really treated me well was my grandmother. But even then, she filled my head with negative female expectations. Like, sex for one thing. It's a wifely duty. I'm not supposed to enjoy it if I do it. If I do enjoy it, then I'm a whore. I mean, what kind of shit is that to, implant into your granddaughter's brain? What they call a loose woman if you enjoy it. You're not going to heaven. God don't want you. you know. So you're just supposed to let people do what they want to do to you and manipulate you and whatever, because that's your duty as a female. Your duty is to raise children, be a good wife, keep a clean house, raise your children, and be at the beck and call of your man, your husband. But of course, I often didn't have a husband, Remember when I got my ears pierced when I was 12, I was called Jezebel because I got my ears pierced. It was just little tiny studs. I was 12 years old. I wanted to be pretty. There were other girls in church that were my age that had pierced ears, that wore makeup and wore jewelry and did things, but I wasn't allowed to do any of that stuff. And of course, the first moment that, I did something I wasn't supposed to do because of asserting my own autonomy. It was something that I wanted because I wanted to fit in. Everybody was picking on me all the damn time because I didn't fit in with anybody else. I didn't have, the name brand clothing. I didn't wear pants. Like, I wasn't allowed to wear pants. And everybody wore pants at school, but not me. So I got made fun of because I didn't wear pants. I didn't own a pair of pants. I remember begging my grandmother to buy me a pair of blue jeans at the freaking dollar store. It was like back in the day, the Dollar General used to sell blue jeans. You could buy blue jeans at the Dollar General store. We had a Dollar General. And I remember begging for that pair of blue jeans because everybody else had blue jeans that I went to school with. I was the only one that didn't wear blue jeans, and I was getting picked on every single day for wearing my dresses, my longer dresses. They had to be longer than the knee, but, not quite to the ankle, but like midway, mid-calf length dresses, the ugliest of all the length dresses. I thought back then when I was in school. Now I kind of like dresses that length or skirts or whatever, but anyway. So this part of this adventure, me living in my camper, I'm going to try to get my mental health in order. I'm going to try to do some healing. I'm going to try to live in nature and get better. And, I've had to eliminate a few people from my life, which kind of sucks. I don't have a support system. Well, I do. I have I'm not going to say, I have a support system, but my support system is limited in what they can do for me. So, they're more so they can, help me financially here and there. But when it comes to actually doing something for me, like reminding me of appointments, making sure I get out of the house, inviting me somewhere, that doesn't really happen. And mostly before it was because I guess because I wasn't driving, so everybody would have to come get me, and that was a huge inconvenience, Nobody wanted to have to come get me and then have to take me home. And so there was that. So I did get my driver's license back. I am driving, but oh my gosh. I had a huge anxiety yesterday because I was driving home from my son's. Went to go visit my new baby granddaughter. She's a month old today, 1 month. So I went to go visit my new baby granddaughter. But then coming home, traffic was exceptionally awful. I guess I was coming home during rush hour traffic, and I haven't had to drive in rush hour traffic in 8 years. You know, and when I say it was traumatizing, it was traumatizing. I was so anxious by all the cars whizzing around me and the new traffic patterns and the fact that I haven't been in this area in many, many years, and then now having to drive myself through it, and it's changed so much. There's so many more shopping centers and businesses and cars and things around, and was very unnerving, and because I couldn't, my landmarks that I used to have are no longer there. They're not there anymore. So everything looks different, and I can't find the roads that I was used to driving on before I left Virginia before. And yeah, and trying to get home, trying to get back here to the camper last night. I almost got into an accident because I don't know. I was at the stoplight. The light stopped. Light was red, and I was stopped, and there was just all this traffic, and all of a sudden the light turned green, and the turn signal, but the turn signal came on as it was flashing yellow, and I don't know. I had like a brain fart moment or whatever. My anxiety was so bad that I almost drove into oncoming traffic, y'all. I could have been T-boned. Because I went to go, and then all of a sudden I saw a car coming. I slammed on my brakes and stopped, thank goodness. But I didn't have an accident. But then I'm like, crap, I'm in the middle of the road, and I shouldn't be in the middle of the road. Now all of a sudden all this traffic is coming. I got to get the F out of here, I'm like, what the heck is going, It was just like, oh my God, this is like so freaking me out right now. I'm like, I have to get out of my freaking car. I have to get out of my car. I can't, and I got home, and I was just like panicking. I don't know. I was just, so I have to remember, do not drive during rush hour traffic. I guess I need to find out when all the rush hour traffic is. And no, that is when I absolutely cannot be on the road. And and I was at my son's, and he kind of wanted me to hang out a little bit longer, and I probably should have. But I was so tired at that point. I had been there, for a good, 4, 5 hours, about 5 hours at that time, a little over 5 hours. And I was ready to go home because I was exhausted. I was so tired. I can't do too much, with the mental health issues and everything. I get exhausted easy, and being somewhere, for a long period of time, even though everything is going okay, I'm in somebody else's house, I'm hanging out with my daughter-in-law, my step-granddaughter, and my granddaughter, and it's all fine, I guess, but, it's not my home, and I feel unsettled when I'm there. I'm afraid of doing something to mess something up and being asked to leave, or not being asked to come back. I'm so worried that I'm going to do something that's going to upset somebody, that's going to, get them to pull away from me and not invite me back. And then I'll miss out on my granddaughter. And so that kind of sucks, having to worry about stuff like that, feeling like that. It's hard having to be on edge even with your own children, which is weird. I shouldn't be on edge with my own children. I mean, I raised them. They live with me their whole lives. They know me their whole lives. They know I'm a little odd. They know I can be a little dramatic at times, I suppose. But for the most part, I'm pretty calm, except for in certain situations as they, come up. I was never a screamer or, much of a yeller. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't yell, but I'm saying it wasn't routine. It wasn't an everyday occurrence. It wasn't normal. It was situationally specific. So, yeah, there's that. So, battling mental health, we've got some diagnoses now, something to work with. Got a list, I got a whole page of recommendations, of things to try, things to do with their, more therapies that they want me to go into to help with my mental health issues. I'm not really sure how that's all going to work, as time goes on, because where I'm parked at right now with my camper is only temporary. I am in Virginia. It's not really, receptive to people that live on wheels. They don't have like, there's no like RV parks around here that aren't like the holiday places, the big, campgrounds, the big name brand campgrounds. There are a couple of those, but then there's, other parks that have campgrounds, but they're limited on how long you're allowed to stay, and they're not cheap for a campground. Not cheap at all. And the whole place, kitty, jumping all over. My cat's going crazy now. They gotta have their zoomy time in the morning. But there's not a lot of places around here where I would be able to park my camper long term that I'm aware of at this point. So I'm in the Hampton Roads area, or just outside the Hampton Roads area right now. My children live inside the Hampton Roads area, and my grandchildren, well, 2 out of 3 anyway. The youngest, she lives in Colorado. And she doesn't have any children, only dogs. Which is how she prefers it. She doesn't really want children. She likes her dogs. I don't blame her. I like children, though. Children are great. But I also like dogs. So, I get it. Your animals are easier and more difficult to maneuver around. Like, you can travel with them and everything, but it's a lot harder to find a place to live when you have animals than it is when you have kids. Because so many places are so discriminatory over the animals that you have and how many animals you have. It's just like, and then you have to pay all this extra pet rent and all this, all this other mess. I just don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with any of that. I don't want to have to deal with electric companies and gas companies and mortgage companies and having to get renter's insurance and, all that other bullshit that they make you do just to freaking survive. Anything and everything that they have to make you do to suck up your freaking money, so it's harder for you to survive. Harder for you to be happy and to find joy, because you're working so hard just to keep a roof over your head that you only get to freaking sleep in. You don't even get to enjoy. But me, I've got this camper, and I've been rebuilding it slowly over time all by myself, and it's working out. And at some point in time, I'm going to be on the road. I don't know when. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know when all that's going to happen. I don't know how I'm going to be able to maneuver all that around and still have all this therapy device, I mean, I see my therapist virtually right now, which is fine. That part works great. But when it comes to, they want me to do dialectical behavioral therapy in a group setting. They want me to do neurofeedback therapy, EMDR therapy, for all my different issues. And they want me on medication, and I have issues with medication. So they want me to do genetic testing to find the proper medication so that I don't so I don't continue quitting a medication and not saying something to anybody because of the side effects, because my appointments are so far in between. It's like, Why put you on a new medication and a new or a new dosage of a medication and not allow an appointment, for 3 months? I have to wait 3 months to let you know that I'm having issues with my medication. Well, by the time that comes around, I've done quit. I'm not going to keep taking it. And at that point in time, if I've gone that long without the medication, I'm just going to cancel the appointment, which is what I did. I just freaking canceled it because I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to have to freaking explain to somebody that doesn't really want to hear me about why I quit their medication. And about why, I didn't consult with them first. Well, you want to wait 3 months before you see me again. So as far as I'm concerned, if you're going to make me wait 3 months for my next appointment, then I feel like you don't really want to treat me, that I'm a bother to you, that somehow I am a difficult person, or whatever. You're minimizing your contact with me. So if you're minimizing your contact with me, then I'm just going to avoid you altogether, because I don't want to deal with having to explain everything and all the issues that go along with it. I just don't want to do it. So there's that. Well, anyway, I guess I should get off of here. This video is getting a little bit long. It's 46 minutes already. And I am going to I need to get off here and do some work in the camper today. I need to get some stuff organized. I need to do some painting. I've taken a few days off because I needed to rest, and I went and visited family, and I went and got my psychological report and all that mess. Got to see all my grandkids, which was good. It was fun. I love my grandkids. They're so much fun. They're so fun to play with, too. Yeah, kids are great. Kids bring me joy. I would much rather hang out with children than adults. Because with the kids I can just play. I don't have to have all these difficult conversations or feel like I'm inadequate in any way. They look up to me like, I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. They just love the fact that I come over and I play. I just play with the kids. And it's fun. I enjoy playing with the kids. I enjoy getting out there and bouncing on the trampoline with them and trying out their, new gadgets and games. And, I don't play video games, but I do watch them while they play the video games because I can't do it. Although I did try, one of my grandsons got a virtual VR headset or whatever for Christmas. And that was actually kind of cool. I did try that. I did try that. It was pretty darn fun, I'm going to tell y'all. But you need a lot of room around you when you're wearing one of those things, because there is a high possibility you will get injured because you will run into something. So make sure you're safe because you can't see anything and you're moving around and there's potentiality for injury. Alright, so I'm going to get off here. We're at 48 minutes. That way I can get some stuff uploaded and get some work done and, touch and base and all that good stuff. So we'll chat with you later, y'all. Bye for now.